Well, first off, welcome everyone. I'm excited to have everybody here. I'm really excited to have you here, Mark. This is kind of fun. It's been a while since I've put out any of these videos, but they're always fun to do, and it's always really fun when I have an exciting guest. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Austin. You got a nice setup here.
Oh, thank you.
People can't see, but there's a little fireplace going on the side.
I know. If we could have, it'd been nice to figure out how to fit that here. I just couldn't, but
yeah, this is nice,
ambience.
comfortable. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. It's funny. We actually have a studio upstairs, but we've converted it all into this packing and shipping station for our other business. So it's kind of a mess. So like this is our de facto studio for right now.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, no complaints.
Well, cool. Well, thank you. Well, I brought Mark on today because I wanted to ask you some questions about marketing. And it's funny because when I first met you, I didn't you told me, yeah, I used to work at Google, and I think you work for Cent now. Is that?
Yeah, it's called Cent. It's a Swedish public company.
Nice. Yeah. So you have a lot more. Like when I first met you, like, oh, that's cool. But the more I talked to you, I'm like, holy cow, you have a ton of experience just over the years. And yeah, I just wanted to have you on here to talk about that and kind of pick your brain a little bit and
sure,
just get your experience.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I started marketing back in 2001.
Okay.
Graduating from college, so it's been 22 years, I guess.
Wow, yeah.
It's been a while. So yeah, happy to talk about any of my experience, education, whatever's most interesting. So fire away with the questions.
Yeah. Well, I think first we'll start with kind of what you do now. I'd like to just for everybody to have a reference, So
sure.
What kind of, like you do marketing, I know, but that's kind of a blanket term. So what kind of stuff do you do now?
Sure. Well, my title is a Senior Director of Integrated Marketing and Branding.
Okay. Yeah.
Essentially, what I do is I drive demand for our product.
Sure.
We're a market research technology company, Cent is. So if you do a survey and you want to distribute it to your target audience, we have the connections worldwide to get your survey in front of the right audience. And I find the people that want to do research through online advertising, social media, public relations, email, anything that's going to get someone to be aware of who our company is, to give us their contact information so our sales team can follow up and establish a relationship. So primarily I'm focused on driving leads for our sales team, but also brand awareness. So people know who we are and what we can offer.
Sure. No, I mean, I remember I've done a lot of stuff like that with Qualtrics back when I was at BYU. We do a lot of primary research and probably your exact kind of clients. Maybe not students, but and actually in the field.
Yeah.
Like running research, trying to.
Yeah, we work with Qualtrics as a client. And
yeah. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, it's super helpful to have that because it's finding the right people. So you have that data is so important.
It's valuable. And having first-party data, insights from real people, I mean, that's what we're all about. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's critical. I mean, really, people are always like, data is so important, but they really don't understand just how true that is.
Exactly. So.
Well, that's cool. I know on the side you do some other stuff too. Like I've noticed I was watching some of your ice cream videos. Oh. You guys... You do like
yeah,
that
I love
kind of
ice cream. So I also used to work at Google, and I worked on YouTube advertising some. So I would watch a lot of YouTube, and I thought, hey, if I was going to start a YouTube channel, what would I do?
Yeah,
I love ice cream. Go where your passion is. So I started reviewing ice cream.
Oh yeah.
And I don't have a big channel by any means, but it's pretty fun, and I've learned a lot by doing it. So
no, I love that, and I think that's kind of that marketer's itch, right? To jump in, you see other people doing it, and I want to do this too.
Yeah. So I mean, the nice thing about stuff like that today is almost anyone can get in. There's a pretty low expense to being a
for sure
YouTuber or influencer. You just need a phone, really. And
right. I mean, this kind of stuff here, everybody can't see it right now. Like the cameras we have set up, this would have been prohibitively expensive, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and now you could do it. People are doing this in their basements. They're doing this
it's pretty
with their
cool.
phones on the streets. Yeah.
Yeah. It means there's way more content not all of it's good, but like people
Yeah.
that wouldn't even be doing content ever are doing it now. So
it's amazing. And I kind of want I want to ask you about that a little bit too, how that's kind of changed. But maybe let's go back to the beginning before I go off too much on tangents. And you have to help me, Mark, pull me back sometimes, because I sometimes I do go on tangents. But,
okay, that's fine.
What got you into marketing? Like, was this something that you knew when growing up? You're like, I want to be a marketer. I mean, that's not a. Or was it more?
Yeah, I don't know if it was that. You know,
Yeah, I was gonna say if it was that, like, I'd be really shocked, because I feel like no one gets into that, even like advertising, thinking I want to do this.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess I did watch a lot of TV as a kid, and I did think, who's making these commercials? And that's kind of cool, you know, that would be kind of fun. And I don't actually make video ads myself, but I've been highly involved in advertising of video and display and things like that. So
for sure. I mean, they all have to be built on data, or they have to be managed. I mean, that's...
Yeah, so I mean, as a kid, I'd rather be like a professional athlete or an actor or a comedian. Like, there's things
Yeah, and you're doing some of those things now a little bit, right?
Yeah, I still do a lot of sports and entertainment. Like, I do stand-up comedy on the side. You know, once in a while I'll perform and
that's so cool.
record videos and stuff. So I love that stuff. And I think looking back, I would probably have taken it more seriously.
Yeah.
You know, in my middle age now, obviously, like, everybody in their middle age realizes, like, wow, time went fast. Like, I could have done anything. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty typical. So, but now that I'm so far into marketing career, it's a good career, and I have no plans of really changing anything. Well, keep going, you know. So.
Oh yeah, and it can help you too, because you can take those skills and apply them to your things that you are passionate about too. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So, where'd you go to school before you jumped into your career? Were you in?
Sure. Well, I grew up in California in the Bay Area, Palo Alto.
Okay. Yeah.
And right around, actually, like, I graduated from high school in '96, which is right around when Google started.
Oh yeah. So a critical few years.
Interesting time to be there, but I didn't really appreciate where I was and when I was, because you know, looking back, I was like at the start of like Silicon Valley boom and the bubble, and I could have just gotten an internship or something and been like, hey, I'm in the heart of this whole thing. But as a teenager, you don't have that perspective. So,
well, no, you're around it all the time, right?
Yeah, you're around it. It's normal. You don't, you know, in Palo Alto, you don't think anything's different outside of Palo Alto.
Yeah, this is the whole world, right?
But I loved surfing, actually. Like, on the weekends, I'd go to Santa Cruz.
Oh, yeah.
And so I went to BYU, Hawaii, because, you know, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
My parents graduated from there, too. So.
Yeah, and it's in Hawaii, like on the beach, so it was like a perfect fit for me. And I was lucky to get in there.
Plus, the beach there is a lot closer than Santa Cruz is to Palo Alto, so you get really close access, right?
So I went there, and I did a degree in international business management.
Okay, yeah.
I think I picked that one because I thought there would be the most job prospects.
Right.
It seemed like pretty flexible in terms of what you could do. And then I got an internship at the Polynesian Cultural Center in marketing my senior year there. So that was a cool experience. And I actually did surveys, like I interviewed guests that were doing the luau and the shows. And then I'd compile all the data and present it to our VP of marketing and be like, hey, we should put up a sunshade over here, you know, because the people sitting in this section are giving us bad reviews on the food and the music and everything. But I think it's really just because the sun's in their eyes. And we did some studies like that. And then we'd put up a shade, and then they started rating things higher and realized that, like, the whole experience is what counts. That you can't just hyper focus on one aspect of the customer.
Yeah.
So I did that for a little while. That was kind of my first experience in marketing.
Nice. Yeah. That's what a cool place too. You get people from all over the world too. So it's really good. I mean, it really helps the international business side.
Yeah.
Like getting that.
It was a fun place to work for sure. So.
Yeah, I have a lot of good memories there. Did you ever work with Cap? I probably ever saw Cap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't remember me, but everyone remembers him.
Everybody knows Cap.
Main entertainment at the Polynesian Cultural Center.
Oh yeah, I'll have to put a little clip of Cap in here just so people can see.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. So
if you're ever in Hawaii, go check it out. It's worth going there.
Yeah, it's a great place. So.
Well, that's cool. So you went there, and then I know you were saying like you worked at Google. So like, and then at Cent, what was kind of your journey like? You said you started in 2001. So what kind of?
Oh sure.
Let's go like kind of like what were the stepping stones to?
Oh yeah.
To where you are now.
So I did the marketing at the PCC, and then I got married in Hawaii, which was great, and then we moved to Utah because my wife's family lived in Utah, and she wanted to be closer to home. And then when I got here in Utah, where we are now, I didn't have a job lined up, so I kind of just put the feelers out, and I ended up working for a lumber company. Well, it's a distributor of hardwood lumber.
Okay.
And so it was a sales job, so we sold lumber to furniture companies, like cabinet makers, things like that. And it was fine. Like, I'd say it wasn't like a perfect fit for me and what I wanted to do, but I also had my first child back then, so all my focus was like, I need insurance and money.
Right. No, I get it. It's like, selling lumber or selling ad dollars. It's, hey, whatever. It pays the bills, right?
Yeah. So I did that for like 3 years, and then realized, hey, this is not like a long-term career that I want to be in, selling wood like my whole career. Not that it's bad for people that do it. Like it can be a good career.
No, for sure.
So I decided to go get an MBA, and I applied at BYU because I was already in Utah. They have a good program, and it was affordable. So we had bought a house, and we sold our house to pay for school and just lived in the married housing at BYU.
Oh yeah.
And then I remember thinking I was going to do marketing because I had done that before and I liked it. And I also thought of all the options in business school, marketing seemed the most interesting to me, like versus finance, human resources. There's different options, which some people like different things, but
right, and that's their calling, but not for you.
And originally in college, I wanted to do psychology. But the practical side of me convinced myself that there's not as many jobs in psychology. But now that I've gotten into marketing, and when I was at BYU in the program, I realized like marketing is psychology in many ways.
Right, on a mass scale, right?
Yeah, so that's why it's really been interesting for me since. And then graduating from BYU, I got a job in marketing with the Dow Chemical Company.
Oh yeah.
In Michigan. So we moved to Michigan, and I did like B2B marketing with like, we would make chemicals that would go in food or cleaning products, and then we'd do marketing to like Johnson & Johnson or Procter & Gamble. So it was real B2B thing to get them to use our ingredients in their products. And I worked with Google on doing advertising in that role. And Google, we were paying these big bills to Google every month, like a lot of money for the advertising. And then the money that when we sold things, we had to buy the raw materials, manufacture it, like all these costs. And just like in my mind, it finally clicked like, wow, Google is on the much better side of the equation.
They're making all the money.
I'm like, they're making like these huge profit margins. Just because they have the audience and you're clicking on stuff. So I'm like, I got to work for Google. Like, that's where it's at. Like, I just thought like, that's like the best company there is. And fortunately, they were hiring a position for someone doing advertising, consulting in the industrial B2B area, which is what
you were already there.
I was the marketing guy there. So our customer would be like essentially my role that I already had.
Right.
So when I applied and interviewed, it was really easy. Like, I mean, there were a bunch of interviews, and it's a competitive place to get a job. But it was one of those rare times where I felt like I had the perfect qualifications for what they were looking for, which gave me a lot of confidence in the interviews. I'm like, oh, this is the person you want to buy advertising. Like, that's the seat I've been in for several years already. I know exactly what they care about, what they're thinking about, the levers to pull, the bureaucracy that they're going to deal with in the job and everything. So I got that job, and I worked at Google for 7.5 years. I actually switched into retail area because the consumer side seemed pretty interesting for me.
Especially your love of psychology, right?
Yeah, so I worked in consumer advertising at Google with clients. So I would essentially meet with CMOs, marketing directors, work on their strategy with them. And they would have goals to say like, oh, this year we have to get like $20 million in revenue from like online or e-commerce or something. And then I would work on the plan with them and then execute and work with a team. So I learned the ins and outs of like running Google campaigns on search, display, YouTube, programmatic things like that. So pretty much like I felt like, oh, wow, I'm getting like a 7-year postgraduate education on how to do advertising in the job. So I felt like that was really valuable. And eventually it came to the point where the pandemic started a few years ago, and I wanted to be closer.
Wow, that's a few years since, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and I wanted to be closer to family. Yeah. So I applied and got a different job here in Utah for a creative ad agency, Boncom in Salt Lake.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
they're a great outfit. They're not little. They're a great outfit though.
Yeah. And that was a good experience. It was consumer marketing. We did for nonprofits, also for, universities, like different types of organizations, but consumer psychology and, behavioral science was a big part of what we did there. And I ran the media, like the advertising. I was a media director there.
Okay. So are you doing a lot of the media buying as well too, the digital space?
That kind of stuff? Okay, the media buying for digital, also traditional like billboards and print things too, but mostly digital, online advertising.
Okay, yeah.
So I did that for about a year, and then a good opportunity came along with this company, Cint, where I've been for about 2 years.
Okay.
And I'm a senior director of integrated marketing there. But I do the advertising, and there's a great team I work with. So yeah, that's kind of the journey. Hopefully that was
no, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So throughout your career, how have you found continuous education to help you? Like how have you, or better yet, how have you integrated continuous education into your work as a marketer?
Oh yeah, well, good question. I love learning things. I mean, I'd say YouTube is like a big part of my education. There's actually a lot on there, like TED Talks, any sort of like online. I mean, even like universities put their classes online now,
for sure.
YouTube videos, things like that. So it was probably when I started at Google, I asked a few people questions. And their response was like, well, did you already YouTube it or like Google it? They asked like, why are you asking me this question? Like there's plenty of expert. And so at Google, like the first year I got there, I wouldn't ask anyone a question unless I couldn't find it anywhere on Google or YouTube.
Yeah.
Because, those were the primary tools we would use.
Interesting.
Which meant that I rarely asked people questions because almost all of the information is readily available.
I know, it's crazy. I had that when I was doing my boot camp. I'd have questions, and sometimes I would like thoroughly research it for hours, and then I'd finally go ask them. Like the first thing they always ask was, "Did you Google it?"
Yeah.
I'm like, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's interesting because there really is so much, and it's easy to get buried in it too. Though.
Yeah.
But
and I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah.
I really love biographies. Like anyone that's achieved something for real to me is like fascinating. And so I listen to audiobooks all the time about, things that Nelson Mandela or people that have achieved great things. Like how did they do this? And they tell their story. And I love audiobooks because it's often the actual person narrating it. So reading is great too, but to hear someone's voice and the intonation and the expression in their voice adds color to the story for me, like from their perspective. So.
I love Malcolm Gladwell's books because of that. That's the exact thing. Because he narrates his own.
Yeah,
like
that's so pretty cool.
And it really does bring it to life, right? I mean, because there's so much that's communicated that way. Once again, psychology.
Yeah.
It's really, honestly, really, maybe advertising should be called, and marketing should be called just applied psychology.
Yeah. I mean, that's the part about it I like the most. Is it's people that we're marketing to. So.
I know, and it's always changing. And actually, this is a great question I have in here. So in this, in the ever-evolving landscape that is marketing and advertising, how have you adapted your strategies to stay ahead of the curve? I guess we kind of already talked a little bit about that, but
well, I mean, the nice thing about working in online advertising when you have goals and metrics is if something's working, you can keep doing it, and the minute it stops working, even within a day, you have to adjust. So I'd say to adapt to the curve, I really just hyper focus on goals. Like the company has goals, you have department goals, and if I'm doing something that is out of date but it's working, I don't really care like if it's working. But if it's not working, then maybe it is out of date, and I should be looking around a lot to see what are other people doing. I mean, I go on to Ad Age and Adweek and sites like that, and I love watching ads of like the top performing ads and things like that. So I'm always staying, on top of like what's trending from the marketing and advertising space, mostly just for my own pleasure and entertainment. Like I actually like watching advertisements and stuff. So.
Oh, same. It's like during the Super Bowl. I'm not watching the Super Bowl. I'm watching the ads.
Yeah, like I mean, especially if they're funny. Like because I like comedy. Like I'm always really impressed if a brand can do a funny message that is also effective and like gets their brand. I'm always impressed by that. So.
Oh yeah. So I want to ask you a little bit, kind of like your experience, like, because I know you've run a lot of campaigns, and sometimes digital campaigns aren't as much, super creative driven, right? It's more like data, just trying to A/B test and stuff. But with that being said, has there ever been any of the campaigns you've done where you've been really surprised that it performed, even though you weren't sure about the copy or sure about the ad itself?
Yeah, I mean, even at my current job now, like we've had all sorts of different creative, like display creative, and I've been surprised quite a few times of which ones work for our audience. So it's not always the ones that look the best or are the most interesting, from our initial point of view. I really just go by the data. Like if even the color scheme, how the layout of the ad, where we put the button on the ad, like I saw another competitor put a button in the middle of their ad in some white space of like download now, and we weren't doing that. I'm like, well, let's try that. And then we put it on there and it started working, like our performance went way up.
Wow.
So it's simple things like that, at visual glance, you're not like, oh, this one looks way better. Like,
or you're like, that's just ugly,
Yeah. And so, pretty much like, as a marketer, you get paid on performance. And if it works and people aren't, it's not damaging your brand or anything, then, then I'm like, let's give it a go, see how it goes.
It's fun with those ads because I always see those and I always look like, wait a minute, is that the real download link? If you go to some sites, like can't tell where the download link because there's a lot of those like download this, but it's not it.
Yeah, I mean, there are people more suspicious. Like, even when we send like a follow-up email, I think people do get suspicious. Like, is this trustworthy, this link? Those are some of the challenges we face,
It's a crazy world too. Like, you never know. Like, we get all the time now. This is tangent, but you get those notifications saying, this is from the USPS. We have a package we're holding for you that we're saying is suspicious. Follow this link. And it's like, AB37E at mymail.com or something, it's the follow link, something crazy.
Oh yeah. But, and I've actually been scammed before, and it was painful. Like I lost hundreds of dollars on a scam. And
oh man.
At the time I was like, oh, I'm so dumb. Like I work in internet marketing and I didn't even see this coming. But I think it's actually been a blessing in disguise because since that time, I'm super, paranoid. I don't, or
cautious,
aware, cautious. Yeah. So I just mark things as spam and delete if anything looks a little off to me. So I've probably had like legitimate things come to me where I just marked it as spam. Like
it's you ever heard of MKHD, the guy on YouTube, Marquez?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he did a whole month, and I think this is a trend now, where like these reviewers will say yes to everything that comes to them.
Okay.
And it's like the craziest product
like
show
yes
up.
Man. And,
Yes man. Like get everything. So yes to every request to try a new product.
Wow, that's pretty funny.
I think he had like this weird little addition for a mouse, and then the Apple mouse is really flat, so it has a little like hump you can attach to it, so it makes it ergonomic. And then he did a casket as well. It was really weird.
Oh, that's pretty funny. That'd be a fun experiment.
Oh yeah, maybe I should do that with ice cream. So like someone reaches out to you saying, "Hey, will you try our ice cream?" Just say yes.
Yes to everything. So
like the ranch dressing one. Did you do the ranch dressing one?
I haven't tried that one. No.
Probably want to do ones that are actually tasty.
Yeah, I've done some bad ones. I ate an expired ice cream that was like I bought it at the 7-Eleven down the road. I found it in there. It was a Superman ice cream, and it was a year and a half expired. And there's at the 7-Eleven down here, just so you know, like they sell. Ooh. And I took it to the guy at the counter, and I'm like, "This is a year and a half expired." He said, "I'll give it to you half price." That's what he said. And like, I thought it was like the most insane thing ever. And I bought it, and I did a review on my channel. I took a bite, and it was really nasty. And like, I didn't get sick, but I thought I might get sick. But I don't know.
It probably was nasty when it was in date.
I know, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it makes me scared to eat any of the hot dogs they have spinning on those skewers too.
Oh, yeah.
It's like ice cream's been there for a year and a half over date.
But like something like that, if you talk about marketing, is like, now 7-Eleven in my mind is like, these people will sell me a year and a half expired food. Yep. And there's a Holiday gas station across the street. So I just go to the Holiday. I'm like, who knows what else is wrong here?
If that's wrong. Because, you kind of wonder, right?
Like a company's whole brand is damaged, at least for me. Like, I'm like, I don't trust 7-Eleven now.
It's funny because 7-Eleven, their machines never print receipts. So I always go to the Holiday for the same reason, like same thing.
Yeah, like you don't know how much they're charging.
Right. Yeah. Well, this kind of goes along with this. So, everything today is talking about that, like, social media and how quickly, this has always been the case. Like, you go to a place and you have a bad experience, you don't feel good about the place. But we live in a super hyper-connected world right now. And so are there any strategies that you would recommend or that you've seen work to still build an effective brand in such a connected world?
Yeah. Well, for me, it all starts with who your audience is and which platforms they're using.
Yeah.
And I do global marketing, so it's different in each country. Like, for example, in Japan, Facebook is the business platform, like LinkedIn is here in the U.S. Yeah, and I didn't realize that until I started working with the Japanese people on that.
That changes all kinds of campaigns.
And I would even say, like, are you sure? Like, this is for B2B, like we're running it in. And so we'd run stuff on LinkedIn and run it on Facebook, and the Facebook one would work much better.
Wow.
And that's where the Japanese business people spend their time, apparently. Weird. But even though we're like, everyone's connected in some way, every audience has a different favorite platform, really.
Sure.
And so for me, it kind of just matters, like, you don't have to be on all the platforms because that's expensive and it's hard to do. But you should figure out your target audience, what's like their favorite platform, where you're going to reach them. And then most people have a platform for entertainment and then one for like business or multiple in each category. And so you have to ask yourself, like, on this platform, what is their primary purpose? And like, what do I think I could achieve there? Right. They might not be in the mood for getting business ads on that platform, but
right, you don't want to do that on Snapchat
or something like that. And then also people have a job to do. Like for us in doing B2B marketing, that's the main thing, is like people want to keep their jobs and they want to excel at their jobs, and you providing them a service that will help them be successful at their jobs is valuable to people.
Right.
And so how do you deliver that in a message in a way where they understand, like, sure, this person's trying to sell to me or this company's selling to me, but this actually does make sense. Like, it'll make me better at my job. Like,
right.
There's people, market research companies, that their job is to do market research for all their clients. And if we give them the offer at the right time and it makes sense, then we're just helping them do their job. So,
right.
The context,
That is true, and there's not really a lot of convincing because they already know they need it.
Yeah, like if you're selling someone something they don't need, like the TV infomercials, it's much harder. Like,
right.
And they do a brilliant job at that. Like, QVC was one of my clients at Google.
Okay, yeah.
And so I worked with them for a couple of years, and that was fun. Like, they sell stuff that people don't always need, like a lot of times.
Right.
But they do such a good job of, what I realized there is, like, the need that they're filling is, a lot of people are home alone or lonely or older, and they need like a familiar face. Right. They need the stimulation of buying something that's fun, that's like going to make them give that dopamine rush of like, ooh, I got this cool thing coming in the mail. So like they're filling like these real human needs with stuff that's like seemingly random.
Right.
So it's not like someone really needs like 4 different colored pairs of fluffy slippers, but like maybe they had fun watching the host talk about them for half an hour, and they're excited that when their grandkids come over, then they can show them this funny new slippers that they got, like, so there's actual other needs, like there's like a subtext to everything. Like, it's not just the product itself, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Have you ever messed around with the practice of laddering? Like going through a
little bit, yeah. Tell me more.
No, it's just you made me think of that right now. But no, just the idea of like we used to do this activity and it drove me crazy. Actually, one of my professors, and she works at Boncom. I won't say her name, but she's awesome. But this one thing drove me crazy, but I get it, and I started doing it after and liked it. But the idea is she'd go around the whole class, and she'd ask us, this is a BYU and advertising, and she'd be like, okay, what was the last like big purchase you made? And then she'd ask her, why did you make that purchase? And then and then she'd keep going one step deeper every time. And the question kind of like, why that? And to find that subtext.
Oh, yeah.
So we could start to discover that. But it's always fun to kind of do that on yourself. Like, why did I purchase this thing? It's like, why did I purchase this Pixel versus iPhone? Like, why do I feel that way about it, or that way, or this way, or just keep going deeper.
Yeah, which is the interesting psychology part of marketing. So.
For sure. I mean, because in this day and age, we could buy 1,000 things that all do the same kind of thing. But it's like, which one do you need? I guess in B2B it's a little different, but B2C, but. And
then there's also people that will simply buy from you because of who you are, and regardless of your product. Like, that's why like the best salesman can go to a different company and be just as successful in selling a different product, because people they like the person. And
sometimes the salespeople don't even think they're good at sales. They're just like, I just talk to people. It works,
Yeah.
I want to talk to you a little bit about QVC because you piqued my interest, because that's mostly a television thing. So how did you guys step in with Google? Like, were you running Google ads too to help push products?
Yeah. QVC does a lot of advertising online. Okay. Google ads, Google shopping ads. We were doing YouTube ads, like the skippable ads.
Oh, I guess that worked perfect for infomercial kind of style stuff.
The QVC was working on breaking more into like online video shopping, kind of like Amazon does on their channel. They have very QVC-like experience.
Oh, yeah, you go on there, they'll do live videos now, and I think they're trying to court creators not too long ago. And
and in like China and other areas, it's a really big thing too, online. So
I've heard that, like that's a whole like genre. It's just
like people talking about the products and modeling the products and things like that.
Yeah,
so.
Like even past the review thing we have here, more just like straight up like buying.
One of the funner projects I worked on at QVC was the marketing director and I had a good relationship, and he actually asked me which of the products I thought they should promote for the holiday season
yeah.
online, which was, I was flattered that he trusted me enough to ask like a third party that. And I was looking at Google Trends and other advertisements and saw that the digital air fryer was something that was really trending in the industry.
I can already guess kind of what year that was.
Yeah, so I don't know, like
2018
or something like that.
That sounds right, because I remember that was when I started seeing those pop up everywhere. Everyone was starting to talk about air fryers. And now they're ubiquitous, right?
Oh, yeah. So we have one at our house, which was cool. So I said, we got to do the air fryer. And then I've seen all the hosts that are hosting different things. And there was a particular host that seemed great for this product. And so I even recommended which host they should use, the product, like how they should do this. And they made video ads. I got to work with their creative video team, which was fun.
Oh, nice.
And then we ran ads on YouTube and sold a lot of air fryers, and it was profitable for them. And
that's awesome.
It was a fun experience because I didn't actually work at QVC, but I kind of felt like I did at the time.
Right, you get to kind of help out with that's a fun thing too, going in and working for another company that's consulting or selling. You get to like play with a lot of stuff,
Yeah, it was cool. I really enjoyed that. And my favorite thing about partnering with QVC was just seeing the operation there. Like, it's really cool. Like, they've got a host on the set, and there's the camera people, and then there's people behind the cameras with earphones on that are giving prompts to the people that are on the set. So they might say, point to the red shoes because those ones are selling fast, and when you touch them, they're going to sell more. Whatever it might be.
I guess because you have the real time aspect too, right?
Yeah, so they're talking to the person, and it's live, and the person on set. They're like brilliant hosts and actors there because they can. I don't know how you can talk about like the same product for 30 minutes straight and make it like interesting and keep your energy up.
That's why we have to have a whole team behind saying, okay, now do this, now do that, because otherwise they're like, well, we have this object here.
So that was fun. I feel like I could say it's like a minute's worth of content about it, and then I'd be like, what else do I say here?
Oh, that's awesome, though. And that's when you were at Google, right?
At Google. Google was a cool place to work.
No, they're still I think they're still rated one of the top places even now, so.
Yeah, it's a great place. And, in marketing, their whole product, even if you're not working directly in marketing, like even if you're in sales, engineering, whatever, most of the product that they sell is marketing. Like it's for marketers, so you're going to learn about marketing like in almost any role you're in.
Oh, for sure. Everything, I feel like even their Pixel products and stuff, it's all pushing their core product, which is, search ads.
Yeah. And then at Google, I also got to teach classes to other Googlers. And one of them I started, which was called Think Like a Marketer. So I teach engineering and other functions about marketing, just like a little internal college type class about marketing. And we'd show video clips from like Lorraine Toohill, who was like the chief marketing officer there. And we'd have marketing case studies. So I almost got to be like a little bit of a professor at the same time, which was fun.
That's really cool. Yeah. You should make a course like that sometime. Put it out there. You ever thought about doing that? Or?
Yeah, I'd like to, actually. Like, my problem is I have like too many things I want to do and not enough time.
Oh, I get that. I get that a lot. I totally get that.
I have so many ambitions, and I have to focus and like rein things in and be like, all right, I obviously can't do everything, so what am I going to do with my time?
Oh yeah, I feel like that's like the marketer's dilemma. It's the creative's dilemma,
Yeah, like I have kids and a wife, and I want to be there and spend time with them. So.
Oh yeah, and they always, that's priority one, right? So I can totally get that.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's super cool. Well, do you have any other questions that you thought of that I didn't hit that you wanted to talk about?
From I guess from your perspective, like, what is the appeal of marketing for you? Like, I haven't.
Oh yeah, I guess that's good. I don't know. It's funny because for a long time I was in conflict kind of between the idea of advertising and marketing, just because I always did more of the creative side, which is funny because it was totally the wrong direction because it's all the same thing, you know. So I think the appeal for me has always been, even if I didn't understand the labels of it yet, is just the ability to create something that can actually make a difference, something that can touch a lot of people all at the same time, or really effective. I've always loved mass media, and I just love trying to figure out, I don't know, how to convince people, not convince per se all the time, but just help people find new products or push them in different directions they wouldn't have thought of before. So
okay,
that's kind of been my appeal to it. That's why I like it so much.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
But that's why I do all this stuff too. Is it's kind of like I love creating things, and I have the same problem too, like wanting to do too many things. Like right now we're in the middle of launching a soap business, and
cool.
you know, we run some publishing stuff, and then I contract iOS development. I do all that, and it's just, you know, it's always fun.
Oh, a lot, yeah.
Just creating, but I feel like that's kind of marketing, is it's a creative endeavor with a purpose, you know?
Yeah.
It's like commercial art and design. It's just fun. It's fun finding a work reason to be creative, you know?
Yeah. I'd say the other thing that I'd say is valuable for anyone thinking about going into marketing is that it's more important the way you talk to people and treat people that you work with than your skills in marketing, because you can actually learn on the job a lot, but you're never going to get in a position where the company is going to say, here's $10 million, go invest it wisely. If people don't trust you, like you, feel like that you're responsible and competent and things like that. So, you know, whatever job you're doing, if you want to be a marketing director, CMO, you have to learn how to establish trust and confidence in people that you work with, because you could be the most creative person in the world, but if someone thinks that you have your own agenda, or you're not reliable, or you're sloppy, like, you know, oh, this person doesn't like check, you know, cross their T's and dot their I's, then they're not going to give, like, it's a big responsibility for a public company to say, you're responsible for this investment, the messaging that goes out, like spending millions of dollars, like, it's a big responsibility, and no one's just going to hand that to you without a lot of trust and credibility. So that's like the people side that's critical for the career, you know.
Right, and it's like nothing's ever done in a silo too, right? Like, so you have to be able to work with people, because these big decisions, they're not made alone, right? Usually.
Yeah. and your personal integrity is like your most valuable thing you have. Like, if someone says, oh, this person takes shortcuts, or they do things that are a little bit off, then like you're dead. Like, it's, you know, you go find another job or something, you know. But and then working from home, like, you have autonomy to spend your time however you want, and you have to, like, at the end of the day, be like, did I add value to the company that's paying me for my time? You know, so that's really important. And
I know that's kind of it's funny because that should have always been on all our minds. But I think when you're in the office, you're actively working and doing, so you don't think about that all the time. But when you're at home, it's true. It's like, okay, this is on me now. I gotta get this stuff done. You know?
Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, I guess in any career you're in, but like, marketing's a fun career, and you need to establish that trust before anyone will put you in a position where you can run the marketing and like have a budget to spend and things like that.
Totally. So if you could sum up in just a few sentences, what advice would you give to someone that's jumping into the market now? Just like, you know, going into college and about to enter into this new high-tech world of marketing, and what would you recommend?
Well, most marketing departments, they hire people based on some sort of special skill. So decide, even if that's not what you want to do long term, what is your entry point into marketing? Like, am I a graphic designer? Do I have a degree in public relations, communications, like copywriting, advertising? So pick kind of your specialty and get an internship in that, get some sort of certificate or degree in that. And then at your first interview, like, make it clear that this is your specialty. But you can say, this is what I'm really good at now and how I'd like to enter the company. But I love learning, and I could see myself being like a full, well-rounded marketer eventually. But it seems like with the interviews I've done for others, we're not as much looking for generalists anymore.
Right.
Like
specialists.
Like most of the roles we hire for is like, oh, we need someone that is an expert in Salesforce and marketing analytics. So, like there's some specific skills that I know we need, because we'll do our job much better if we have someone that already has those skills,
Right.
So figure out, like, even just go on job search sites and look at the qualifications, even when you're starting college, and be like, Google, Apple, Microsoft, whatever, in marketing, all of them listed these 5 things. So I'm going to spend the next 3 years getting these skills, and then, I'll be able to apply to all these companies,
Yeah. No, thank you. I think that's key. The specialization part's key.
Yeah.
Because I think we have too many generalists,
Yeah, and it's great to be a generalist later when you have, credibility and the company gives you more responsibility, but it's really hard to enter in the company at the bottom as like a generalist,
Right, you need a foot in the door somewhere.
Yeah, you got to get in with some sort of skills, So.
Yeah, totally. Well, thank you so much for coming on and joining me. I'm sorry we went a little over the time I said I would keep you.
Oh, I'm fine. Yeah, I mean, it's me rambling on. So.
No, we're both. It was good. But no, thank you so much.
Sure.
And well, I'm looking forward to seeing more of your stuff too. I'm gonna go watch more of your ice cream reviews and also your stand-up. So,
All right, thanks, Austin. And yeah, I enjoyed talking with you about marketing.